Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. We're so glad you're here mid-December. Looking forward to Christmas. We've been talking about Samson and the life of Samson and how he was supposed to deliver the Israelites from the Philistines. Well, last week we left off, he'd killed 30 of the Philistines. Do you remember why? He'd gotten really angry. Yeah, that's right, Peter, because some people had cheated on a riddle. They had gone to his wife and gotten the answer from her, and he was upset. He went out, he killed 30 people, and then he went home. And when he went home to his parents, his new father-in-law gave his wife to a friend. Oh man, things are not looking up for Samson. So Samson, he kind of gets over his pity party, his time at home with his mom and dad, and he's going to come back for his wife. He says, I married this lady, I want her back. So he goes to the father-in-law, knocks on the door and says, I'm here for my wife. Yeah, how about her younger sister? The father-in-law offers the younger sister because Samson's wife was already married to somebody else. I mean, it's getting really screwed up, boys and girls. So Samson, I mean, he's just okay with that, right? Like we've learned Samson's just this real cool guy, and no. Samson is angry again. He's really angry, okay? He is so upset, and rightfully so. His wife has been given away. He's so upset, boys and girls, that he goes out to a cornfield. He catches himself 300 foxes. Now, I'm just, trying to picture this. How do you hold on to 300 foxes and keep them? But he catches 300 foxes. He ties their tails together, so in sets of two. Poor foxes. It's only going to get worse for them. He ties their tails together. By the way, I don't know about you, but I've never played with a fox, and I'm not so sure I'd want to. But again, Samson's been able to kill a lion, so I guess he can play with foxes too. He ties their tails together, and not just that, boys and girls. He takes what the Bible calls as a firebrand, basically a burning piece of wood or a wood that could be set on fire. He ties that with their tails. All right, so now we've got 150 sets of foxes with their tails tied together, and he lights the firebrand on fire. He lights that piece of wood on fire. Well, boys and girls, what do you think the foxes do? They start running around like crazy. They're trying to get untied from one another. Their tails are on fire. They're trying to get their tails not on fire. They're running around in this cornfield. Well, boys and girls, what do you think happens to the cornfield? Yeah, it's gone. It catches on fire. Not only did he burn down a cornfield, he burnt down vineyards, he burned down olives. He just basically made it so that the Philistines can't have any food with these 300 foxes. Well, you've got the 300 foxes who've now burned down the cornfield and the vineyards and the olives. And I mean, the Philistines are just going to be okay with that, right, Peter? Like it's going to stop here and they'll be like, no. Now the Philistines are upset. Okay, so you've got Samson who gets upset, causes destruction. Now you've got the Philistines who are upset. And they come to the Israelites. They're ready to attack. They say, we are going to attack you. Because of what Samson has done, we are going to attack you. Well, the Israelites are like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? They're nervous. We'll go to Samson. So 300 Israelite men came to Samson and they said, this is what the Philistines are demanding. What can we do? And so Samson agrees actually to let them tie him up, and he's going to go down with them as a captive to the Philistines. But he made the Israelites promise. He said, promise me that you won't kill me. If you promise that you won't kill me, I will let you tie me up. Pinky promise, that's right. I will let you tie me up and take me down to the Philistines. So the Israelites promise, like, we're not going to kill you. Like, we know you're strong. We're not messing with you. But they do bind him and they do take him down. Well, in verse number 14, it says, so we're in Judges chapter 15, verse 14. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him. Okay, they're excited. They're like, yes, we've got him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire. Okay, in other words, it was very brittle. He just broke it like that. and his bands loosed from off his hands. Boys and girls, he's brought before the Philistines. The Spirit of the Lord comes upon him. Remember, he's a special man that God is going to use to deliver them from the Philistines. He breaks those cords that are binding him. Verse number 15, and he found a new jawbone of a donkey and put forth his hand and took it and slew. Do you see that? Do you see that, Peter? How many men did he kill? 1,000 men therewith. Samson takes the jawbone of a donkey. Okay, I mean, a donkey's an animal, okay? But is its mouth really that big that's going to have a huge jawbone? I don't think of it being that big, but he uses a jawbone as a weapon. Now, how come, guys? How come he can do that, boys and girls? That's right, Peter, because the Spirit of the Lord was upon him. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him. He was able to kill 1,000 with the jawbone of the donkey. Verse number 16, and Samson said, with the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of a donkey have I slain 1,000 men. Okay, he's slain 1,000 men. He's had this great victory. He's been able to kill the Philistines, who are God's enemy, because of God's power. We get done with that great miracle, boys and girls, and it reminds me of another Bible story that we haven't gotten to yet. But Samson's discouraged. He says, God, I'm hot and I'm tired. You gave me this victory. I defeated all these people, and now you're going to let me die because I'm just too thirsty. Boys and girls, is God going to do that? Of course not. God still has a plan for Samson. He's not going to let him die. But all Samson can think about, boys and girls, is how he's thirsty. All he thinks about is himself and what he wants and his needs. And he doesn't think about what great victory God has just done through him. He doesn't take time to honor God like he's supposed to. Like we talked about in the very first lesson about Samson, how the praise was supposed to go to God. Samson is so stuck on himself. Well, thankfully, boys and girls, even when we're making selfish choices, God doesn't give up on us. Boys and girls, Samson's accusing God of gonna let him die because he's so thirsty. And God says, verse 19, but God clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. Through that jawbone that Samson had used, God gives water to Samson. Boys and girls, lots of truths packed into this story. God gave the power to Samson. Samson saw great victory. But then we also see over and over again in the life of Samson how selfish he is. Were you selfish this week, boys and girls? Were you more concerned about you than those around you? I struggle with that, boys and girls. I want the first. I want the best. I want the most. I struggle with that as an adult, and I think if we're all honest, boys and girls, we all struggle at times with being selfish. It takes work to put others before ourselves. And I hope this week that you'll practice being selfless and putting others before you. But boys and girls, when you do sin, when you do make that selfish choice, you do push somebody out of the front of the line, to which as teachers, sometimes we just shake our head like, okay, whatever. Boys and girls, it's just selfishness. But you know what? God doesn't give up on you. When I make selfish choices and I put what I want in front of somebody else, God doesn't give up on me. God doesn't say, I'm done with you, that's it. No, God didn't do that to Samson. He doesn't do that to us, boys and girls. God wants us to continue to come to him and ask for forgiveness, and God still loves us. God's love never leaves us, boys and girls. God never leaves us. What a great God we serve. The God who helped Samson is the God who wants to help you this week, boys and girls. Make selfless choices, not selfish. See you next